looks like it's game over for the Saw franchise for now. Saw X came out a couple years back and was widely regarded as one of the strongest entries in the franchise. There was a ton of excitement for a new film as quick as possible. They announced they were going to do Saw 11 1 year later, and then it's been nothing but kind of holdups ever since then. And yesterday, Bloody Disgusting announced that the project has been canceled, and it has been canceled for a while. So if you dive into the article, their source says it's totally dead. It's 100% over almost a year now. And while this is disappointing to hear, it's not actually all that surprising because there's been nothing but delays. There's been nothing concrete in a positive direction for a long time. Very early, right out of the gate, it was like, let's get this thing made, let's get it made. And everything since then has been bad announcements. Kind of continues through, and you scroll down a little bit into it. It says this: according to sources, everything went sideways in January 2024. The producers started fighting. While one producer started to plow forward with the film, the other put up roadblocks, stifling Saw 11's production. And that seems to be kind of the flavor that's been in the air. That's a mix of metaphors. That's been the smell in the air for a while now, that the producers can't get in alignment with one another with what they want to do with the project. So what you end up having is one thinks this is the right direction, the other thinks this is the right direction. So any movement one of them has, the other one puts a roadblock, and you just get nowhere. Despite everyone knows, strike while the iron's hot. All the cast is on board. They were going to bring back a bunch of other people from that timeline into the fold, and all sorts of things are on the table. But when you have a lot of options on the table and things are going good, you can have very big disagreements about where you actually go with that. And that seems to be the exact problem that they've run into. They can't agree on what they want to do. And it kind of continues onward and it says, our sources suggest Lionsgate didn't have anyone to smooth over the disagreement. Thus, you're kind of in the situation where they're butting heads. The people with all the power cannot get in alignment. And the studio that's funding all of this, like, please give us a movie. Please give us a movie. They didn't have anyone they could bring in that would be that mediator to find the compromise, to find the middle ground. And thus, you have a project that is just completely stalling out. And then it says in another sentence, it will likely start over if so. And says another phrase, greed and ego won. So obviously, without knowing any specifics, they're just vague disagreements from the producers, couldn't decide on a direction, killed the whole project. This is like the classic story of how things kind of fall apart, or how you get messes, or in the world of music, why bands break up, things like that. You have a hit. You have something that worked, that everybody really liked. You found the right idea. How do you follow it up? What's the next great idea that will get people excited? And they couldn't decide on the same thing. Some other people chimed in. The director on Reddit said this: let's just say that the past year plus has been among the saddest and most frustrating of my life. So the guy that directed Saw X, the guy that was like, we did it, man, fans liked it, it made money, creatively we were satisfied, we found the right idea to get this thing going, yeah, let's do another one. And since saying let's do another one, it's been nothing but heartache and just sadness. Like, we want to do it, like, we're pumped, we're all on board, but no. And then the screenwriter also chimed in. He said, we haven't heard anything since May. This is from screenwriter Melton. It's stalled at the managerial level. It has nothing to do with the creative or anything else. There's higher level things at play. And that's the stuff that, like, you get so frustrated. Because the screenwriter, he's like, let's go. The director, like, let's go. All of the cast, they're like, look, let's go. And add into this. Here's where this thing gets really like you run with what they were doing, with what they did with Saw X, that they were able to pull it off. You run into a gigantic problem. Tobin Bell is in his 80s. And when you're in your 80s, a year of aging is like 5 years of aging when you're younger. Like there's so many more possibilities of things to go wrong, declining health, the physical, it gets a lot, it's a lot more taxing after the age of 80. And they weren't able to strike when the iron was hot. And he's only getting older and only extending past life expectancy further. And you go, if they couldn't crack the code, it seems really unlikely that you're going to find that spot to get into the groove. And it's all up here. The screenwriters, it did not say, I couldn't figure it out. I didn't have an idea. The director wasn't like, I got lost. I had too many. No. They're all going like, it's those guys up there. It's all up there, up in the offices where they're not writing scripts and stuff. They won't stop fighting. They won't stop bickering. They won't trust us to tell a story. It's so frustrating. And for me, as someone, I didn't watch any of the Saw movies in the original run. My relationship with gore and torture is complicated. So I didn't watch any of the Saw movies until Jigsaw came out. I had this YouTube channel and I started to rank franchises. So a new Jigsaw movie or new Saw movies coming out, Jigsaw. That was the first time I ever watched the Saw films and kind of got into it. And I've got a lot of issues with the franchise, but there's something very alluring about the franchise. The way that it does sequels and building the lore and everything, it's very enticing. It's very interesting. And there's not really anything like it with how stacked it is. But Jigsaw was okay, and I liked a Book of Spiral or whatever that one was called more than a lot of other people, but it didn't reignite the franchise. For me, I thought Saw X was the best overall movie of the whole series. Like, they found a thing that was like, that's it right there. Like, Jigsaw actually front and center. Like, even in Saw 2, Jigsaw's kind of the side character. That, like, he's the guy that's being investigated. So he's a very prominent side character, but he's the side character. Finally, in this one, you put him front and center with his worldview and everything kind of going on with him. And I think you get the best movie out of it. So the fact that in this place where they'd really found their groove, where I think they were at their best, that then they got stuck again and it all collapsed. That really is heartbreaking. As someone that, like, I'm not like a Saw fanatic, but for the first time ever, I was excited for the future of the Saw franchise. Like, man, what are you going to do with this? Like, I'm actually excited for a new Saw movie. And that's when it implodes. And if this is the end of the Jigsaw era, if we never see Jigsaw again, for me, they both ended on a high note, and they ended putting Tobin Bell front and center. He's the star. He's the prominent one with the character arc and everything like that. Awesome. Let's end on that note. But, I wish they could have given us another great one and played out, bring some more people back and flesh things out with their bizarro timelines and stuff. It is what it is. It's dead.